going on, everyone? Decided today we're going over the book that essentially gave birth to the multiverse. This is Flash issue 123 from 1961. Now, in terms of history, after they kind of retired Jay Garrick and they brought in Barry Allen when they relaunched the title, I think it's Flash. No, it's not Flash. It's like Showcase, or I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head. Help me down in the comments. But that is the book that historians have all kind of unanimously agreed was the birth of the Silver Age. As we went over in the Jay Garrick deep dive over on the After Dark channel, which I'll make sure to try to remember to leave the link up here, we talked about when Barry came to life. It sort of set sail for the Silver Age with sci-fi comics, and that's kind of how we got characters like the Atom. And unfortunately, at that time, Jay Garrick, who was the trailblazer of Flash comics on Barry's Earth, was delegated to just being a comic book character. And we'll talk about that now. But I love this iconic cover. We've seen it homaged several times. And I'm hoping that when I eventually get to review this character, we've gone over Barry, and I'll try to remember to leave the action figure link somewhere. But once we go over Jay, I'm going to try to redo this cover. Let me know down in the comments when I do that photo, who would you want as the foreground character? Just let me know. Anyway, this says, featuring Flash of Two Worlds, a spectacular story that is sure to become a classic. And my, oh my, did it. I wish this was an original copy, but thankfully, I mean, for $4 to at least have this for posterity's sake with the original ads, I'm content enough. And unfortunately, at this time in history, if I remember correctly, they didn't really give you a lot of credits. I'm glad that with more modern comics, they started bringing in who made the book. Because, yeah, I honest to goodness do not think they have a credits in here. I know Gardner Fox was the writer, but I cannot remember who the artist is. So I'll try to add all the information down in the description. But yeah, during this time period, it's unfortunate that the creators didn't get, credit. And I'm glad that Stan Lee, even though people still say that Stan Lee steals the spotlight, he at least made it a point to give everyone the spotlight. And he would always say, like, good names like Battlin' Jack Kirby or Fantastic Steve Ditko, to at least make everyone feel like they were part of the group. So I will always give Stan that, compared to some of the hate that some people say, hey, he just stole everyone's ideas. Well, you know what? At least he gave everyone props. So with that said, let's dive into the book without going off on a tangent. Now, don't get me wrong, I love old school art, but this particular panel drives me up the wall. And I'll give you 2 seconds to figure out why. 1,000. 1,000. Look at the bodies compared to the heads. I mean, it's not super bad, but to me, this looks like two Funko Pops talking. So it's just really bad work there. But I love all these hands. It says, how many Flashes are there? 1, 2? Is Barry Allen the real Flash, or is Jay Garrick? Does the Flash live in Central City or in Keystone City? Only one thing seems certain. Both live on the planet Earth. And only by traveling to that other Earth can the Flash discover his alter ego and become the Flash of Two Worlds. So we open up in Central City. We're focusing on Barry. Now, he's supposed to be helping with this charity foundation for Iris. He's like, gosh, I've got a date to meet with Iris, and I'm late. As usual, she'll be furious. Iris, I just couldn't help it. I was busy at headquarters. I'm not talking about you, Barry. It's the magician who was supposed to be here to entertain the orphans. He hasn't shown up. They'll be terribly disappointed. And I just love how slick they always made the characters look back in the day. That's why with modern art, when you see a lot of the 3D models or those who do the panels looking like Tumblr art, it just drives me insane. It just chaps my hide and frosts me up the wall. It's like, oh, that is so freaking ugly. But at least here, again, even though this is DC, people still kind of had that draw the Marvel way, meaning that they had to learn anatomy and just do it again and again. Like Todd McFarlane would say when he said that he learned to draw, he'd always say, don't try to do everything at once. Start with hand and just do the hands, do the hands, do the hands, do the hands till it's automatic, and then continue with the rest of the body. And I miss that type of discipline. But he gets this little grin on his face and he goes, I can't stay, Iris. But to make amends, suppose I can phone Flash and ask him to come in and fill in. I just left him at police headquarters. Oh, Barry, you're an absolute darling. So it's sweet that he decides to come and put on a show for the kids. You know, he kind of does the Forrest Gump thing, playing ping pong against him, and it says an eye blur. And again, before we get any further, miss the internal thought balloons while the third person narrator moves the story. So here we're saying, kids, I'm the first man in history who can win and lose the same game. At eye blurring speed, the fastest man alive serves a ball. Then before his image can fade from the retina of the eye the retina of the eye he is on the other side of the net, driving it back. And it just keeps you real entertained. But what happens is he's going to do his disappearing act, like essentially climbing a rope, sort of like a magician. It says, what has happened to the Scarlet Speedster when we see pop? By vibrating his body and twirling the rope at super speed, he's disappeared from sight. But where to? Now, real quick, let me see if I can find it. I don't know if it's in here. Hold on. Maybe I thought it was in this book, and yeah, I thought it was in this book. Okay, so it's not in this book. I don't know what issue it is. It might be Flash, the showcase or whatever book. But there's a panel where you see someone, it's like a security guard reading a comic, and when you look real close, it says Flash Comics, and on the cover, you see Jay Garrick. So let's keep that in mind. I thought it was in here, but unfortunately it's not. It says, one split second after he vanishes from the stage, Flash reappears on a lonely road, staring about in astonishment. Where's everybody? What am I doing here? And where is here? He races through the city. A vague uneasiness stirs within him. I don't see the Memorial Tower or the sports stadium. I just hope I haven't gone through some sort of time warp and that I'll enter Central City before they were built. And as he dashes into the community center, he finds it dark and empty. Huh. This isn't the Picture News building. Instead, the Keystone City Herald building? What's going on? Where am I? What day is it? So he comes to find out it's the right date. So this is June 14th, 1961. He says the date's right, but the city's wrong. And it's here that he finds out that he is in another reality. He says, it's no time to answer questions. I've just had a brainstorm. Keystone City. Could it be that what I'm thinking is true? He used to live here. Sure enough, Jay Garrick. It's right here. Then Barry's foreigner rings the bell at 5252 78th Street. The door opens and you're Jay Garrick, but a bit older. You seem to know me, but I don't recall ever meeting you. And so Barry essentially just gives him the spiel of his life. He goes, oh my God, it's your girlfriend, Joan Williams. He goes, well, it's my wife. And so he talks about the Midwestern University when he was in the science lab and when he stopped for a smoke break, knocked over beakers and was knocked out by hard water. And he recovered relatively quick and found out that he had speed and became the first Flash. So he says, rapidly, Barry Flash Allen relates his recent experiences on the stage of the community center. Then, the way that I see it, I vibrated so fast I tore a gap in the vibratory shield separating our worlds. And as you knew, two objects can occupy the same space and time if they vibrate at different speeds. And so he relates how he got his powers working in the crime lab, being shocked by electricity. He goes, lightning certainly is unpredictable. It knocked me over, but didn't scratch the cabinet and broke only certain chemicals and bathed me in them. And so they come to find out that they are both heroes. And as Jay got older, he retired. But he's thinking about coming out of retirement because a certain type of characters have returned in Chapter 2. We are now introduced, or I should say reintroduced, to the Rogue Gallery of Jay Garrick. This is the Fiddler, the Thinker, and Shade. And of course, they have that very, what do you call it, Silver Age, like about them. But I do love the Shade. That's just cool. He creates shades like an Umbria dark that you cannot see through. The Thinker uses stuff to control people's minds, and the Fiddler, he plays so much that if you get near it, you become You become a puppet, essentially, like a Pied Piper type situation. So Jay talks about coming out of retirement. Now remember, on Earth 2, so when the multiverse happened, and this is where it was birthed, Earth 1 has the sliding time scale. So that's why all the way into now, 2026 characters are still young. As where Earth 2, they didn't have the sliding time scale. This is the golden age. And so that's why Earth 1 has its own Superman and its own Wonder Woman. Why, if you go over to the other side of Earth 2, Superman, Lois, and whatnot are older. And that's where Kara Zor-El, Power Girl, comes from. And why on the other Earth we have another Kara Zor-El, which is Supergirl. They are the same, but different names. So the two split up. Barry saying, well, since I'm here, I may as well try to help you. And he's excited to work with his idol. He says, reading your comic books in my world was the whole reason I wanted to be like the Flash. I wanted to help and save people. And so when he got the powers, he said, that's why I donned the name, the Flash. So again, here, even though at this time that may have been like a nod to Jay Garrick, but at least it gave him, what's the word I'm looking for? Credence, gave him that larger than life type personality, as where you see some characters now that may take up the mantle and they tend to talk down to the legacy, and that pisses me off to no end. It's like, if they're nice enough to let you pick up the mantle or allow you, if you stumble across it, that you should be grateful. And that's what I really love about this, is these two Flashes work together. They have a certain amount of respect for one another. And then there's just this Silver Age artwork. My goodness, like when the shade casts this pitch black, I can't keep groping like this. I've got to get rid of this darkness so I'll know what's going on. So Barry spins and pulls it away, but the shade is already gone. And I miss how they kind of broke these up into chapters where the hero here didn't get the villain immediately, like the older Golden Age comics that would just be like, wham, bam, gel, last panel. They realize, there you are, Jay. I'm afraid I've got to report failure. I had the shade and you got away. And much as I regret saying it, the same thing happened to me against the Thinker. Those arch villains have come up with improved techniques. It won't be as easy to stop them as I thought. Then why don't we work together as a team? We ought to be twice as effective this way. So rather than split up as they initially thought, it says, together, New Flash and Old Flash streak out to take on the challenges of the super criminals, uniting as a duo for the very first time. But unknown to the Flash pair, a startling surprise awaits them when they come to grips with the last of the villainous trio, the Fiddler. And then we go into chapter 3 after some ads. I don't know, I missed this, but I will say, in terms of the Silver Age and the Golden Age corniness, him just ripping through town on a violin mobile, it's kind of silly, but it's also still freaking cool. Now, again, I've talked about this in other reviews, where I love when the comic actually reflected moments in the book. So again, iconic. Now check this out. As the Fiddler moves through Keystone City on his way to the museum, his fiddle car under automatic controls, the eerie music from his Stradivarius causes odd accidents to happen ahead of him. Shortly, as the two Flashes burst onto the scene, help me! The construction work up ahead, someone's in trouble. On either side of the falling metal girder, they dash toward a man pinned to the ground. Help me, Flash, save me! I'm coming! So boom, boom, two different versions of it. Moving at super speed, one Flash grips the fallen man, while the other, by creating a powerful updraft, I'm causing the girder to rise into the air, back into the position it fell from. So again, both characters getting the spotlight. But unfortunately, as we see, the Fiddler seems to be quite strong. I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to spoil the entire book. But at the end, Flash says his goodbyes. And I love how at the end it says, the old Flash watches the new Flash vibrate faster and faster until he blurs out of sight. So that's how he does it. I must remember so I can visit his Earth sometime. And Barry even says that, where is it? Right here. The last panel. So remember, in Earth 1 at this point, Gardner Fox is a comic book writer that created Jay Garrick. So Barry says, what does he say? Okay. She goes, that's all you can tell me, Flash, that you took off on a most unusual case? I'm sure our readers would love to hear what happened. Iris, honestly, if they read it in your newspaper, they'd say it was pure fiction. The only ones who would really believe it would be the readers of Flash comics. That's why I'm going to look up Gardner Fox, who wrote the original Flash stories, and tell it to him. He could write the whole thing up in a comic book. And so, meta, without being too much on the nose or driving you nuts, that's how this issue ends. And this is, again, why this is one of those key books that you need in your collection. Because The Flash, think about it. Barry Allen kicked off the Silver Age. And then 123 issues later, him and Jay Garrick kicked off the initial birth of the multiverse. Talk about how both worlds can kind of exist simultaneously but vibrate at different vibrations, for lack of a better term. So yeah, guys, beautiful artwork. I had a lot of fun reading this. Like when I look at certain Silver Age books, I look at them and I'm like, man, I hope this isn't going to be like one of those real corny ones like reading Donald Duck or something. And then I go into this and man, I'm engrossed. I can't put the flipping book down. And I look at the clock, it's like half an hour later, and I'm like, man, I had a lot of fun and I didn't realize how much time had flown. So with that said, gang, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop. And if you got the ducats, grab an original copy because these Silver Age books are getting harder and harder to find. And if not, you can check out see if they have the reprint, or they always have those great collected omnibuses or like Flash essential readings, so you can kind of get the whole story. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Flash fact bell next subscribe, that way as I can continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. Speaking of, if you enjoy what I do and you'd like to help support the channel, I have also left a PayPal tip jar link down in the description. And if not, I still appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. Either way, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.